Hi, thank you so much for tuning in to Morgan James Publishing's Fall 2020 book launch. My name's Jim Howard. I'm the publisher for Morgan James Publishing, and today I'm really excited. We have author Amie Newhouse with us, and Amie's the author of The End is Near, Planning the Life You Want After the Kids Are Gone. So,
Mhm.
Amie, thank you for taking some time to talk with us today.
Thank you. I'm very glad to be here.
Oh, I'm excited to be here with you. And your book for me hit at a really good time because I was going through that transition right about the time we started working on it. My daughter, our youngest daughter, was headed to college. We had this empty nest, and my wife and I were starting to figure out, what does that look like? What are we going to do with this next phase? But I wanted to start out with the title of your book, because this is an interesting title. The end is near, but yet you're talking about planning this new phase of life. So tell me a little bit about the title.
Well, I felt like that is exactly how I felt as my kids aged into late middle school and high school. I just had this, I don't want to say a sense of impending doom, but I had built my life around my children.
Mm,
And I would wake up at night and think, what am I going to do with myself? How am I going to grow? What am I even interested in? I mean, do I need a different job, a new job, another job? How do you fill your time? Because it just truly, it haunted me. And I really felt that the end was near. The end, it creeps up on you. And so I just thought that that really fit, at least how I personally was feeling. So,
yeah. And I think a lot of people get there, right? You've been in this role for so long, and now
hmm
that role without your control is just kind of moving on. And what's
hmm
next, right?
absolutely.
So yeah, and my wife and I, as I share, we were going through that transition, and that's what we were like, what's next for us, and where do we put that, and who do we become, and uh-oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
all of those thoughts that run through your mind, and your book helps answer a lot of that. At least gives people really good ideas on what to think about as they move forward in their own journey. And I so appreciated that.
Thank
Um,
you.
but now your book, I think, it's pretty interesting because what if you're not an empty nester, right? What if you are someone who picks this book up, but maybe you're in a different phase of life. You don't have
Right.
kids yet, or you're coming out of college and you're making that transition. I mean, what could a 22-year-old benefit if they were to look at your book?
I think honestly, the book itself was born out of my own obvious struggle to, I don't want to say reinvent myself,
Mm.
but to figure out what I was going to do with my life when I grew up, when my kids grew up, right? Um, and so the exercises in it they're just thought exercises that I worked through personally, and that I started working through with my kids as they hit the older years of high school, helping just, how do you decipher, what am I going to do with my life? It really doesn't matter what stage of life you're leaving and entering. You could be the difference between high school and college, or college and career, or young married. Is it time for kids? I mean, we all have to sort of distill our thought process down and get in touch with ourselves to make decisions. So, although the book was written from the angle of someone who was approaching a major life change of, no longer being in the role of mom, I
Mm.
really, everything in there is applicable to everyone's life, male or female, honestly, because the best way to make a decision is to always know all the facts. Knowledge is power. And at this point, our knowledge should be of ourselves. And that, especially for women, in the US, and I'm a middle America girl. I live in Austin, Texas, so I'm as middle America, I think, these days as it gets. Um, we are not encouraged to be truly in touch with ourselves. And as you go through the journey of raising your kids, you lose more of what makes you you specifically, because as a parent, that's what you want to do, is help your kids develop. That is your goal. So it's
Mm.
not like there's nothing wrong with losing touch with who you are and what makes you tick outside of parenthood. That's kind of being a good parent, right? But then there's not really a roadmap for, once I don't have this primary role of parent, what do I do now? There's not, so that it was the goal of the book, was to kind of help people learn how to just reconnect with who they are, because we grow and we change as we raise our kids. We turn into someone else too. And if you don't have that ability to just sort of self-reflect and drill down into your own belief systems and your own likes and dislikes, what do you want to eat? I mean, how many of us even know what we want to eat when there's not a family telling us what to eat, right?
You mean I get to decide? I get to eat what I want to eat tonight?
I hate to sound simplistic, but that was an issue for me. I had a very defining moment. There was Mother's Day a few years ago. My husband asked me, where do I want to go to eat? And I started immediately checking the boxes, clinking through. This kid likes this place. This kid likes this place. This boyfriend's coming and they don't eat at this place. And my husband prefers this place. And he just looked at me and he went, but what do you want? And I thought, I have no idea. I don't know how to decide that anymore. My brain, I have retrained it as the mom to just go, what is best for everyone around me that I actually like? That's how we make decisions as parents, right?
Yeah.
We think of our kids first, what's best for our family first, and then we eliminate the ones that we really hate, and then we'll do the ones that aren't so bad. That's parenting. That's a role of parenting, perhaps I should say. But then when it's just you, that's not going to work anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. And, so many people struggle with that thought, right? I grew up a certain way and I was a certain person. And now in this role, I'm someone else and I've grown into this other entity. Oh, but now I have the opportunity to grow again or to change again. And
right.
Look like, who am I? What do I want? But your book, I think the way it was written and the conversational style that you used to put it together and some of the thoughts that you brought in really allow the reader to just kind of open up and say, instead of fearing that moment, look at the possibilities, because there's a lot on the table that you could become or that you could do. So this is your chance to step into that role. And I think that's so empowering, to remove that, oh no, what now? And look at it as, oh no, what could be now? And I think that's a powerful way to
that's beautiful. Yes, I agree.
So, you said your book was born out of your own struggle, right? It's born out of this opportunity to reconnect with yourself and not knowing who that is, losing that mom job, if you will. But how did using the system and this method and your method specifically of self-discovery, how's it impacted your own life? And, where are you now on that journey? And what can readers expect when they pick this book up or connect with you after watching this video and start diving into that journey?
They can expect to be surprised. I mean, you can expect to be surprised, I think, by yourself, not by around you, but what you learn about yourself. And like I said, we spend maybe 20 years. That's probably a conservative estimate of most people's parenting journey. We spend 20 years kind of growing out of touch with yourself. And at the same time, getting very in touch with these other human beings that we've created and we're responsible for. So we're the experts of them and we are not the experts of us anymore. It just is what it is. And it's okay. That's not a criticism. That just means you were a good parent, in my opinion. You did what was best for your kids. A lot of times that is self-sacrifice, and I am not as important as their needs, and that's okay. But then once they're responsible for their own needs, surprise, you're 20 years later. You're not the same person you were back before you had your first kid. And I think that, to me, was just a revelation of getting to know me again. And I just don't think our culture currently takes enough time to do that. So I hope they find themselves interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. Beautiful. And, when we were going through our journey and we were working with you on your book, so it gave us an opportunity to kind of get a sneak peek a while back on the book and things to prep for. And my wife and I did that. We took some advice and we started planning together. And we said, our last year with our daughter, we spent as much time as we could with her, but we spent as much time as we could together figuring out where we wanted to go, what we wanted to do, how we wanted this next version of our lives to look like. And we just took some time over that year. We went up and down the East Coast. My daughter thought it was awesome because she got to enjoy a lot of different beaches little did she know we were investigating areas that we wanted to move to. So uh, long story short, we took that time, spent it together as a family, but all the time,
Right.
the whole time we were investigating our future without, in that empty nest, if you will. So August, our daughter went to college. September, we started looking for a new home. October, we found the perfect spot, moved the empty nest to the beach, and that's where we are today. So,
Oh,
you know,
that's fantastic.
what you share with your readers is so impactful as they're on their journey. And I think it's definitely going to help everyone watching this, everyone who sees this, everyone who sees your book or connects with you on how they can prepare for that next stage of life. And that's what it is, folks. It's a stage of life. Life is constantly evolving, right?
Absolutely.
We start out as one thing, we grow into another thing, we add another element to it, like kids, and we become
Hmm.
something else. And then those kids move out and we become yet again new creatures. And all of that time can be spent in self-discovery and self-invention and self-reflection. And as Amie walks through her book and her journey, it's just such a great way to connect with someone who's been there, done it, and get the hope and the help and the ideas that you can leverage to make that journey successful for you. So,
It's
Amie, I
it's
want to, oh, go ahead. Yeah, sure.
Oh, I was just going to say in some ways, it's a fairly mechanical process, the
Mm.
way that the book is laid out, because I'm a nurse. And so, I, I've all 25 years spent my life starting in a very specific manner of looking through a problem, a human being that's ill, there's and so I basically just used the same concept that they use in medicine for assessing patients and just turned it inside. And
Mm.
it's somewhat mechanical, just that it's very cut and dried and clear, but it's all in how you apply it. So that's why I say, I've done it with my kids. That's how we figured out. I mean, that's really an abbreviated version of how we figured out where my son wanted to go to college.
Mm.
So it's not necessarily only applicable to empty nesting. It's not necessarily only applicable to women or any specific stage of life. It's just a solid, in my opinion, a solid method of saying, you don't know where you want to go next. Well, let's figure it out. We don't even need the map, because the
Yeah.
map is the last thing. It's very logical, mechanical, from the outside to the inside way of just reconnecting with what you are, who you are, what makes you tick now, where you and your wife would like to live, any of those decisions.
Yeah.
Because if you don't take that time and investigate and discover, take the shovel to the dungeon, as it were, clear out the cobwebs, who knows, you could miss the next 20 years. You could have missed a decision, the beach house, the
Yeah.
life that you and your wife are building now. You could have missed it altogether just by not putting the few minutes into thinking through it better.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I want to thank you for, taking the time to share your story and to share your ideas and to share your thoughts. Whenever someone can take their journey and share it with someone else to help them on theirs, I think it's the most admirable thing, honorable thing we can do, and the most powerful way that we can connect with other people. And you did that in your book. And I appreciate that. And I appreciate you taking the time to help other people on their journey of figuring out what's next. And
Mm-hmm.
you said knowledge is power. And that
Absolutely.
is so true. And wisdom is the ability to know when to and
Yes.
how to leverage that power. And your book
Yes.
kind of gives us some ideas, but then puts a path in front of us that we can leverage that. And I so appreciate that.
Thank you. My goal is not to, um, when you sit down and what am I going to do with my life? You want the answer. Like, I just wanted someone to come and say to me, Amie, you need to do B. That's going to make you happy. A isn't going to work. C is a failure in advance. Just go do B. You're set. But there's so much joy in just learning why B would be best. What parts of me were created, and what parts of me have I developed over the years that will bring me joy in doing B. And so, I mean, you could sit down and just have, the fortune teller tell you, or go see a psychic, or get a word from God and go do the thing. But there's so much joy and so much life to be found in the journey of figuring out what you're doing. And I hope people truly enjoy that part too.
Yeah, amazing, outstanding. So, if someone's watching this right now today, maybe it's the first time they've met you, maybe it's the first time they've heard about the book. maybe they have a copy of the book already and they're in the middle of it. But either way, they want to connect with you. So what's the best way for someone to reach out, to get connected with you, to find out more about what you're doing and connect with you in a deeper way?
Honestly, just Facebook. Just type my name in Amie, Newhouse, just like it sounds. And just reach out, message me, friend me, post something on my page. It doesn't matter. I think human connection is incredibly important, and um, I look forward to meeting people who want to share their journey with me.
Hmm.
You know,
Yeah, amazing.
and I'm still on my journey. My journey. Um, One of the last chapters in the book is this might hurt a little. The pursuit of truth, it has casualties at time. Um, and in my own personal life, I'm still on this journey because my pursuit of figuring out what made me tick and what was healthy for me, and then that of my husband, we actually figured out after 25 years of marriage that it's not the same.
Hmm.
We've gone this direction while being a team, raising our kids and covering all the bases and, raising great kids, not complaining. But, the goals we had at 18, neither of us still have. And we've been together since we were 19. So, growth happens. And if we hadn't sat down and done the hard work of getting to know ourselves, I couldn't have brought my honesty to the table and he couldn't have brought his to me, and they don't match anymore. So preemptively knowing ourselves is allowing us to enter a different stage of life that we did not see coming, not for
Hmm.
the life of me. I mean, not at all, didn't see this coming, but this is allowing us to work through this in a manner that isn't hurtful. There's no bad guy, there's no good guy. Your goals are A, my goals are B. They don't match, but they don't have to, because I don't hate you, because I really love me and I want you to love you. So it's just, I can't say that it's going to be easy or that it won't have tremendous surprises along the way that you may or may not interpret as being good, but I'm excited for myself to continue meeting me. And I hope that the women or men who read my book enjoy meeting themselves.
I do as well. And I'll tell you, the one thing about it, whether you're digging it up, investigating it, going through it or not, truth always comes to the top. So eventually you're going to meet yourself. And you may as well be prepared when you do. And I think your book does such a wonderful job of doing exactly what you've done today, which is just being transparent, being real, and saying, here's my journey. Here's where it worked for me. I hope it can help you too. And
Absolutely.
yeah, so everyone watching this right now, you need to connect with Amie. Again, that's
Yes.
Amie,
Yep.
Newhouse, as it's spelled, Newhouse.
Hmm.
Find her on Facebook, connect with her. But
Yes.
at minimum, go find the book. You can find her book
Absolutely.
everywhere online, your favorite store. So get your copy of The End is Near and start planning the life you want after kids are gone right now.
Yes.
So, Amie, thank you so much for sharing with us today and being here and being who you are and being real and honest and writing something that can help other people on their journey. And it's been an honor working with you. And I'm so excited now that the book's out to see what happens as the book touches people, what happens with the impact that it has on them, and where your journey goes from here. So thank you for taking the time to talk with me.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Absolutely. And all of you watching, thank you guys as well for tuning in today. And we'll see you on our next one.